Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Podcast. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2019. Today I'm going to recap last night's National League wildcard game, look ahead to tonight's American League wildcard game, WNBA Finals Game 2, going to recap that. The NHL begins tonight, so I'll look at tonight's games and I'll pick them. The ones that are on NBCSN, obviously. NHL season predictions podcast coming out later today. John Buchacross is coming on as well, and so it will Derek, and I'll have my best bet of the day for you as well. Okay, we're going to start the National League wildcard game, which was one of the best wildcard games that we've seen since the league decided to do the winner-take-all one-game play-in for the wildcard. And the Nationals come out 4-3 winners over the Brewers as the Nationals move on to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Brewers were 4 outs away from moving on to take on the Dodgers, but nope. Josh Hader with a rare bad performance. I knew right away that he didn't look right. It was just something about it. He just did not look right. And then I was proven to be right as he gave up a hit to, I believe, no, first it was the hit by pitch that really shouldn't have been a hit by pitch to Victor Robles. The ball clearly hit the knob of the bat, but that was a tough call to review, so they did not overturn it. And then Ryan Zimmerman has a bloop with 2 outs. They pitch around Anthony Rendon, pitches to Juan Soto. Juan Soto, 3-run double down the line. But the only reason why the 3rd run scored is because the right fielder, Trent Grisham, let the ball go by him pretty much. Like the ball legit went right by him, and the play should have been made. If that was Christian Yelich, if Christian Yelich was in this game, the Brewers probably win. That play single-handedly murdered the Brewers. If he makes that play, it's a tie game rather than Nationals lead. So who knows? Maybe the Nationals would have had a walk-off and Hader would have gotten out of it. But Hader got out of it, actually, courtesy of Juan Soto advancing to 3rd on that error. And he got thrown out. So that was the 3rd out of the inning. And then Daniel Hudson closes it out, gets the save. And the first inning, Yasmani Grandal, 2-run homer off of Max Scherzer, 2-0 Brewers. Second inning, Eric Thames home run, 3-0 Brewers. Bottom of the 3rd, Trey Turner home run, 3-1. And then it was scoreless all the way up until the 8th when actually it was recorded as a single. And then Michael A. Taylor scored. He pinch hit for, I believe it was Adam Eaton. And then Andrew Stevenson scored. Stevenson, the pinch runner for Ryan Zimmerman. And then Rendon scored. Soto went to 2nd on the error by Grisham. And then Soto was thrown out at 3rd. So it was a 3-run single in which he advanced 2 bases, or should have advanced 2 bases on the error, but he was thrown out at 3rd base. Max Scherzer started the game 5 innings, 3 runs, 6 strikeouts. Steven Strasburg, 3 innings, add relief. Hero for the Nats in this game with the 2 hits in 3 innings from 4 strikeouts. And then Daniel Hudson gave up a hit in the 9th inning, struck out 1 in the 9th inning. Milwaukee pitching, Brandon Woodruff, 4 innings, 2 hits, and 1 run, no walks, 3 strikeouts. He gave them a good effort. Brent Sutter went to 5th inning, gave up a hit. Drew Pomeranz, 2 innings, 2 strikeouts. And then Hader blew up an inning, 2 hits, 2 runs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. And 2 of those strikeouts were on pitches that were outside the zone. So it could have been a lot worse, and it should have been a lot worse. But the Nationals hitters were swinging at pitches out of the zone, which were recorded for strikeouts. So, again, Nationals move on. Brewers go home. The Brewers, since this is the last of Brewers we'll be talking about in October, during the season until after the season's finished. Good year for them. It just sucks that Christian Yelich hurt his kneecap, or else this team could have possibly won the Central. That injury probably did cost them the National League Central title if you look back. And then they go on that nice run without Yelich, took advantage of a weak schedule of the Marlins, the Rockies, the Padres, took advantage of the collapsing Cubs, and the Cardinals finished the regular season with that sweep over the Cubs at Wrigley, and then they lost a few games to the Cubs at home. And I forget who they had in between those two Cubs series, but I think they lost a few games to whomever they played as well. So the Brewers did have a chance to win the division, but now looking back, the Yelich injury probably came back to bite them here. And then, obviously, that error was egregious by Grisham, and that guy probably shouldn't even be on the Brewers team. And I think that guy is going to have his confidence shaken because of that. Like, it takes a couple years for somebody to make, to come back from an egregious mistake like that, or a big choke job like that, like Grisham did in that game. And then they're a team that I think obviously has to get some real starting pitching. This game kind of showed in most of the way a formula that them and obviously the Yankees probably want to try in the postseason. But you're screwed if somebody blows up, especially if your offense isn't good, which it kind of wasn't in this game, other than the first 2 innings. So this strategy, in a weird way, if it wasn't for Josh Hader's implosion, would have worked out, but it did not. And now I think that that's a team that should go out and get real starting pitching, keep your bullpen together, keep your offense together. They should be in contention for the Central if they decide to not trade anybody and begin a rebuild, which they shouldn't do. They are a team that is closer to winning with a couple starting pitchers, and then a team that I think may take advantage of a team whose window's closing in the Chicago Cubs. And heck, if things go poorly for the Cardinals in the postseason, maybe that's a team that potentially their window can close. So wouldn't rule out the Brewers next year in the National League Central. Now we'll move on to the American League wildcard game between the Rays and the Athletics, 8 o'clock on ESPN. Matt Vassurgeon, Alex Rodriguez, Jessica Mendoza, Buster Olney, Tim Kirchin on the call. Should be a fun game tonight in Oakland. A team in the Rays that is predicated on pitching for their calling card of success. Good rotation, good bullpen. Athletics, this team is run through its offense. Matt Olson, Matt Chapman, Marcus Semion's had a career year. Chris Davis has had a bad year. They got to this point basically without a good Chris Davis season, so they're fortunate for that. And they've had some other guys that have stepped up, like Ramon Laureano, Jurickson Profar, has done some stuff. So this is a team that has a pretty deep lineup. The Rays lineup, to me, is kind of weak outside of Tommy Pham and Austin Meadows. Kevin Kiermaier, nice player, but his game is predicted on defense and speed more than his offense. Johnny Man Choi has provided some much-needed power for them at first base. Brandon Lau's had a nice year as a rookie. Nate Lau turned out to be a big loss for his offense. That guy has a lot of potential. You have also Mike Zunino and Travis d'Arnaud as like a catching platoon. d'Arnaud kind of has had a renaissance with the Rays after being designated for assignment from the Mets. So the Rays have had guys that have career years, but their offense is inferior to Oakland's. But at the same time, Tampa Bay's pitching is superior to Oakland's, because going for the Rays tonight is Charlie Morton. Oakland's going with Sean Manaea, who is coming back from Tommy John surgery, was excellent down the stretch. So Oakland's doing the right thing by going with the hot hand. Mike Fiers just had a nice year, had a good streak, but that came to a close when he had that disastrous outing in Houston. He's going to be available out of the bullpen today. So is Homer Bailey, who's had a nice renaissance with Oakland too. Homer Bailey in Oakland, that was just a good fit for him, because Bailey's somebody that needs to be in a bigger ballpark on a team that's good. And the Oakland Athletics are a good team, and that's just turned out to be a great fit. Credit for Oakland for pulling the trigger on that trade, and I wasn't a fan of that trade at the time, but hey, it worked out. I'll give Oakland their due there. Bullpens, Rays bullpen is actually sneaky good. You have Colin Pache, who's had moments this year. Diego Castillo is their closer. Emilio Pagan is somebody that is solid. They have some other guys. They have the guy that they traded for from Miami, Anderson, who I think they gave up too much in that trade, to be quite frank, but he's stepped up. And then Oakland side, from their bullpen, you have Liam Hendricks, who's had a good year, took over the closer's role. Blake Trinan, their closer from last year, didn't even make the wild card roster, and that says a lot. That guy proved to be a one-year wonder. Yikes. And then you have, like I said, Bailey and Fires possibly coming out of the bullpen if Manaea struggles in this game. You also have Lou Trevino, who's out for the year, so he won't be available. You have some other veterans in there. Jake Dykman, who was a trade pickup from Kansas City. He's been solid for Oakland. He'll be on the wild card roster. You have Jesus Luzardo, who's come up and has really shown some stuff. And then you have AJ Puk in the bullpen as well, who I watched him play against the Yankees, or pitch against the Yankees, and he struggled in that game. But outside of that, I guess he's been pretty good because he made the wild card roster, so they must feel good about him. All right, in terms of the pick here, tough call. It's just easier to go with the home team here, although the road teams tend to do well in the wild card games. But I'm not sure if Tampa Bay can score enough with Oakland. I think it's a low-scoring game. I think the A's bullpen, I think Luzardo's an X factor in this game. I think you may see Fires potentially. Let's say Manaea goes 4 or 5. And then Fires can go 6, 7. And then you can have Jesus Luzardo in the 8th and then Liam Hendricks closing out in the 9th. Or you could go, if you avoid Fires, you can go Manaea for 5, Diekman, Luzardo for 2, and then Hendricks. So we'll see. So I'm going to go with the Athletics 4, Rays 2, and the Athletics will advance to take on their division rival, the Houston Astros. And I think that would be a more compelling series than the possibility of Rays-Astros. But the Rays are a team that I think can slow down a good offense. I think they can with their pitching. So I could be wrong about that, but I just think that Oakland knows Houston very well, and they played them 19 times. That's why I think that if it was the Yankees that got the 1 seed, then I think that the Rays wouldn't have minded playing them because they know the Yankees. They've seen the Yankees a lot. They swept the Yankees at the end of the regular season, although Tampa had to win those games. Yankees knew they were the 2 seed, so I think that if it was Rays-Yankees, then the Rays would have some, not advantages per se, but would know things that they'd like to do, just like how I think Oakland potentially could give Houston a series for the same reasons why I said that Tampa could give the Yankees could have given the Yankees a series, because in division rival, you know what those teams are like, and know how to pitch to those guys and whatnot. So I think that an Oakland-Houston round 1 would be very, very interesting. WNBA Finals game number 2 in the books. And the Sun rebound and take game 2, 99-87. Wow. Great win for Connecticut to even up the series at 1 apiece. Jaquel Jones with a double-double, 32 points and 18 rebounds. Very good game. Emma Messerman had 23 points and 8 boards. Elena Deladon did not have a field goal. Only played 3 minutes. She must have gotten hurt or something. That's not good. Alyssa Thomas had 21 and 12 and 6 assists. Courtney Williams, 22 points and 6 assists, so a good game for her. Christy Tolliver, 13 points and 7 assists. And in terms of Deladon, yes, she exited the game and due to injuries. So let's face it, this is kind of an asterisk win for Connecticut without Della Don there. Della Don's the best player in the world, women's basketball player in the world. Like, I think this is kind of comes with an asterisk, and maybe the defense for the Mystics steps up a little bit more. I know the Mystics won't use that as an excuse. They're better than that, but let's face it. If Della Don's there, Mystics are up 2-0. That's all I got to say. And they obviously couldn't recover from her injury. And game number 3 won't take place until Sunday afternoon at 3:30 on ABC. So ABC's getting a WNBA Finals game. The NHL season starts tonight. You have 4 games on the slate. You have the Senators at the Maple Leafs. You have the Capitals at the Blues at 8 o'clock. On NBC, I said the Blues are raising the banner. These are the last 2 Stanley Cup winners. Doc Emrick, Eddie Olczyk, and Brian Boucher on the call. Should be fun. Low-scoring game. I won't be surprised if this goes to overtime. I'm going to say the reigning champs come out on top here with a score of 3-2. I think Binnington will play well. I think Holtby will keep Washington in it. I think Ovechkin will have some moments. I think Tarasenko will have some moments. So a good matchup on opening night for the first game of the season. Canucks at the Oilers at 10 o'clock. So that's the second of the Canadian doubleheader. 2 teams that are trying to make the playoffs out in the West. I think the West is kind of weak, and that second wildcard spot is wide open, especially with some injuries and dysfunction going on with some other Western teams. And then Sharks at the Golden Knights, 10:30 on NBCSN. On the call this game, I would say it's John Forslund and Pierre Maguire. Maybe it's Kenny Albert and Pierre Maguire, but Kenny Albert's going to be in Houston tomorrow for or on Friday for the Astros game. So maybe it's not Kenny Albert, and then obviously Albert would have I don't think it's going to be him on the Ranger home opener tomorrow against Winnipeg. He'll probably be down in La Greca because Albert has to be in Houston, and that game's going to be at 2 o'clock Eastern. So probably won't be Kenny Albert doing Ranger radio, but I think there's a chance he does this game with Pierre Maguire tonight. I don't know exactly who's calling the game, but I know Pierre Maguire's between the glass or between the benches because they booted Pierre Maguire from the A team. Very disappointed in NBC in doing that. I think Pierre's great at his job, and he just did not deserve that demotion. I guess I'm not sure if something happened with him, with Doc and Eddie O, or maybe they just like Brian Boucher better, and they think Boucher's a better fit with those two. And Boucher did a lot of games with Emrick and Olczyk last year. And don't get me wrong, I think Boucher is a good analyst, but I think Maguire got snubbed here a little bit. So at least Maguire's still on the NBC broadcasters hierarchy, but he's just not on the A team anymore. I'm very disappointed in that. But that said, this is a good rivalry. I think these 2 teams absolutely have a chance to meet up in the playoffs for the 3rd straight year. I'm going to take the Golden Knights here at home. They're the better team, better goaltender. I'm going to say they win a 4-2 game at home. Martin Jones did not have a good year last year from San Jose. I like San Jose offensively a lot, and I think they're going to be a team that scores a lot of goals, but I just think that crowd's going to be a lot in Vegas, and they're going to fire up that team. So give me the Vegas Golden Knights at home against the San Jose Sharks. Best bet of the day brought to you by DraftKings. I'm going to take 3 of the hockey games on here as well as my pick for the AL wild card. And we're going to see how that comes out. So I'm going to go with the Oakland Athletics. The Toronto Maple Leafs, I think, are a lock tonight against Ottawa. I'm going to take the St. Louis Blues, who are a minus 143 favorite. I'm avoiding the Oilers-Canucks game. I just think that that's a toss-up. By the way, Edmonton minus 134 favorites. I'm taking Vegas minus 165 favorites over San Jose. And then, obviously, I'm going to take the Athletics minus 136. So, this is a shade below plus 550, so 543. I'm only going to wager 64 cents on this. Payout of $4.11. That's it for the podcast today. I'll be back in a couple hours with ESPN's John Butchercross as we preview the NHL season and what's to come there. And I'm going to have Derek on later as well to preview the hockey season. And maybe I'll ask him for a pick for Oakland-Tampa tonight as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everybody.